Hi guys. So today I thought I would do a video on, or we would talk about mastitis, plug ducts, and um, what do they call them? Abscesses. So the most common um, of those three would be a plug duct. Now, a lot of times a person who has a plug duct may only experience it once in the pregnancy and maybe never experience it again. You could be a mom who never experienced it, or you could be a mom who it seems like you're constantly getting plug ducts. So what causes the plug ducts? So usually the biggest reason a person will have a plug duct is that the baby is not getting all the milk out of the breast. They're not pulling that milk out. So whether they are not latching correctly or they're falling asleep at the breast, so they're not, breastfeeding, they're not getting enough of that milk out of the breast, they're not emptying it. It could be an issue like maybe they're tongue-tied and they're not able to latch correctly to draw the milk out, because in one of the videos I show a picture of how the latch should be, and the nipple has to really get to the back and upper part of the baby's mouth in order for and the baby's mouth literally has to be on the skin, that areola behind the nipple, to really draw out the milk. So typically the plug ducts can happen in the early parts of breastfeeding. And the reason for that is the baby's young. So the baby's young and they're learning to breastfeed. And think of it like this, it's like riding a bike. You have to learn to balance yourself, but then you get better at it as you practice. So the baby, when they are born, they're having to learn to breathe, to suck, and to swallow all at the same time. And that can be a lot for some babies, really for any babies, but then some babies, it's really, really difficult. So if you have a baby who's born earlier than 37 weeks, we used to have this picture, and if I can find it, I will post it. But it shows the brain development at 37 weeks, I think, and maybe 40 weeks. I'm trying to think if they did like earlier than 37. But just the 37, which is what they call a full-term baby, even at 37 to 40, the development that you see in the brain is amazing. Like just the difference in those few weeks. So a baby who's born a little bit earlier can struggle a little bit longer learning to latch correctly and learning to breastfeed. So it can be more common in that type of situation. It can be common later on in time if the baby, again, is not nursing enough. Maybe they get distracted. Maybe they're starting to crawl and they don't want to sit still. It could be a number of things, but all those things result in milk the breast not being emptied. That's where they all result in that. And then that can result into bigger issues. So a plug duct, when you know you have it, it needs to be addressed and taken care of immediately. It's not something that you want to put off. It's not something that you want to say, okay, well, let me just see what happens in a couple of days. No, you want to start taking action right away. Why? Because then that plug duct can turn into mastitis. And the mastitis will typically, the way you'll know you have mastitis is you get flu-like symptoms. So you're going to have a fever. You'll feel achy. You will just have that overall feeling horrible. I had a mom come in once. She was not coming in for mastitis. She was coming in because the baby wouldn't latch. And so she comes to my office and, she says, that the baby won't latch. She's not getting enough milk. She thinks her milk is dried up, that it hurts really bad when she breastfeeds. And then I was just kind of looking at her and she didn't look very good. And I asked her how she's feeling. And she said, oh, I'm getting ready to go to the doctor because I feel like I have the flu. I'm not feeling good. And that was a light bulb. I'm like, oh, okay. Or a red flag. I'm like, okay, this mom, she complained of the baby not getting enough milk. She complained of her breast being sore. Automatically, those things, she didn't even say anything about, she mentioned her breast hurting. That is another big deal. So, because I asked her, is it the nipple that's hurting or is it the breast? So it was the breast. And we come to find out she did have a plugged duct. Now, when you tell the mom to go home and to pump or to breastfeed, that can be the worst thing to ask them to do because it is very painful to breastfeed, while there's a plugged duct there, but you have to. Sadly, you have to breastfeed that. You have to get that out. So a hand expression, a breast pump, or just getting that baby there, sucking as much as you can. And it's kind of funny, but gravity also works. And I used this in engorgement video, that kind of like leaning on all fours and laying the baby under you on the bed and have the baby breastfeed that way. The gravity helps pull that milk down, and you're trying to get that milk to go through that duct. And a lot of times you'll know once you pass it because it'll be more of a clumpier piece of milk. So as painful as it might be and as hard as it might be, you really need to breastfeed. Now, it's okay during that time to take something like Tylenol or ibuprofen for pain. You can also take warm showers, massaging the breast, whatever you can do to get rid of that plugged duct. Call a lactation consultant. Speak with the breastfeeding peer counselor if you're with WIC. Just search for help. Feel free to email me or, comment below if you have questions about it because I can help you as well. And I will put links below to anything I talk about so that you can go to that link and actually see pictures or just read a little bit more on it and what to do and, so forth. So, so that's mastitis. So you know that when you have a plugged duct, if it's not taken care of, it will turn into mastitis. And mastitis turns into something bigger. And what I mean by that is, okay, it's an infection, so you need to get on antibiotic. And if you don't, then you get sicker. And that means you and baby are going to be separated. And now we're going to have a bigger problem because you're going to be so sick that you're going to have to be on a really strong antibiotic. You're probably not going to be able to breastfeed. You're going to have to pump and dump. And then nobody wants to get to that point. So starting, with this plugged duct, take care of it, and then these other things won't happen. If you have mastitis, take care of it so that if it doesn't get worse to the point where you and the baby cannot breastfeed and you have to pump and dump. Now, some doctors will say that on the antibiotic that you get that you cannot breastfeed, but there are antibiotics that they can give you that is safe for you to still breastfeed. So you can do research on LactMed, LACTMED. I think it's .org or .com. I'll put the link below, and you can look up information. You could type in the antibiotic he's suggesting, and it will tell whether or not it's safe for you to breastfeed. So that's plugged ducts and mastitis. Now, an abscess. Let's say you've had a plugged duct. Let's say it turned into mastitis. Let's say you were on an antibiotic and you were feeling better, but all of a sudden you still have this, or maybe it's not all of a sudden, maybe this lump just is not going away. It's red and it doesn't necessarily hurt, but you can see it there. That could be an abscess, and that means it could be filled with pus. There may not be an opening, but typically when that happens, you need to go see your doctor. They will do an ultrasound and be able to tell if it's an abscess or not, or just a plugged duct, and what you need to do take care of that. So if it's an abscess, they have to they have to clean. They have to get that pus out. They have to get that abscess down. So during that time, I believe I will put the information, a link below on that. Part of me is thinking you may not be able to breastfeed when you have the abscess, but it depends on if it's opened, I think. I'm going to look it up, and the link will be below. So look for that information about whether or not you can breastfeed when you have this abscess. I'm going to check on it. So those are the three important things that when you're breastfeeding, you might be worried about. Maybe you haven't even breastfed yet. Maybe you're a mom, who's pregnant and you're thinking about it and everybody's told you, no, don't breastfeed. It'll be so painful because of the plugged ducts and the mastitis and this and that. But like I said, you could be a mom who never experiences it. You could be a mom who only ever has it once. And like I said, there are moms who seem to have it multiple times, but usually those moms, there's something wrong. They're doing something functionally wrong that's causing this plugged duct constantly. Because what is the predecessor of a plugged duct, and that is milk not being drained out of the breast. So if you can feel, and you will be able to feel when the breast and when the baby's emptied the breast, because it will be a little fuller at the time for the baby to eat, and then after they finished, it's soft. But if you still feel it's there and you do a little hand expression and there's milk in there, you need to make sure to get that milk out, whether it's to wake the baby, and you can do that by massaging or compressing the breast, hand expression or pumping, whatever it takes for you to empty that breast. So just remembering what causes plugged ducts, because it's the plugged ducts that will cause the more, serious issues. So take care of, try to remember those things, and you won't have to have a plugged duct. I have 4 children and I breastfed them all. I never experienced any of those things. So just like I'm saying to you, you may never experience it. And why I can help you, and even though I never experienced it, why I can relate and understand and teach you. Well, of course, I've learned about it. I've been trained, but also I worked with a lot of mothers who had it. And then I had my own challenges while breastfeeding. So I know what it's like to have pain while you're breastfeeding, and to have to find ways to overcome some of these challenges. And breastfeeding should not hurt. It might be a little sore in the beginning, but it should not hurt. So just always remembering that you should not have pain when you're breastfeeding. And if you are, then there's something wrong and it needs to be taken care of. If you don't know what's wrong, get help. Comment below, email me, call your lactation counselor, consultant, call your peer counselor. Wherever you can get help, get help. That's what I would suggest. So that's it about plugged ducts. Like I said, I will post some links below so that you can do further research. Please continue watching the videos. Comment below if you have any suggestions, any questions or concerns, and then you can also feel free to email me. Please subscribe, and I will talk to you guys again soon. I hope you have a great day. Bye, guys.